Welcome to Unorthodox Perspectives with your host, Luke Burrows.
I think like your mission, your vision, your purpose, your passion, it's all interlinked.
And Leroy Mabonga.
Discipline is the first step to control.
All right, hey guys, and welcome to episode 16 of Unorthodox Perspectives. I'm here with my man, Leroy.
How's it going?
Whatever. I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good,
Nice.
man. What can I say?
That's good. So awesome. So, guys, today we have a really awesome topic. We're going to be talking about letting go. And so really looking forward to this episode, as I am really like most episodes that we do here at Unorthodox Perspectives. And so, with that said, if you're just joining us, if you're new to the podcast, to the live stream, I have the comment section up here as well. So just feel free to leave any comments, any questions that you have about the topic that we're discussing today, the art of letting go, the importance of letting go, and overall just a conversation around letting go. So, Leroy, where did you want to kick this off? I think this was a topic that you were passionate about sharing and talking about. So, where do you want to kick things off?
I like the way you're saying I'm passionate I'm passionate about it and I want to share. Oh man, Luke. But yeah, man, I think it's a funny idea into like letting go. I mean, it's easy for us to say so, but it's quite hard in practice.
Yeah, Leroy.
You know what I mean? But yeah,
Leroy,
where would
I'm
I
not
try
sure if your
it?
connections.
Can you hear me?
You're breaking up a bit on the connection side. I don't know if that's my connection or if that's yours. Let me check on my phone. But we've got a couple of people watching with us. So, guys, if you can let us know in the comments, I mean, if you can hear Leroy, see him okay. On my side, it's breaking up a bit.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's better.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, that's better, man. Sorry, continue.
Is it delayed?
It was a bit blurry in that, but I think it's okay now. So I think if I brought it up on my phone and it's.
I mean, is it delayed? Because when I'm talking, it feels like you are delayed.
No, it wasn't delayed. It was just we just couldn't see you because the camera was blurry. But continue now.
But as I was saying, letting go. I mean, it's an interesting subject for me, I guess, because I guess I'm such a growth-orientated person that, to an extent, letting go is a process of thought that I go through once in a while. Because as you grow, you have to take into consideration what you are, what you have, where you've been, and then sort of like look at going forward and think, okay, do I have space for that, or you know what I mean, like moving forward, do I have need for that, or whatever it is that it may be. So I think letting go, I'll come from it from that point then. Like, what is, okay, let's define letting go. Okay, yes, we know it as it is, like letting go. Okay, letting go. Okay, what is letting go, right? What is letting go? Like, when I ask you that question, if I ask you to, what's letting go to you? What does letting go mean to you?
Oh, good question. I think for me, so when I think of letting go, what comes to mind is things from our past that we are holding on to. Like literally, when I hear that phrase, letting go, or I suppose it can also mean maybe the future. I'm not sure, but my mind makes the connection between our past and if we're holding on to something in our past and cutting that tide ultimately, so then we can move forward, step into the present, step into the future, and grow. Basically, that's what comes to mind for me.
That makes sense.
But let's put that question to the audience. So, guys, so when you hear the phrase letting go, what does that mean to you? Leave a comment. If you're listening on the podcast, feel free to get in touch with us or find the YouTube. I'll put the link in the comment section if you're watching or listening on the podcast. And so you guys can then leave some comments under the YouTube video. But that's what it means to me when I think of that phrase.
Yeah, I think and I see where you're coming from as well. It makes sense, like, letting go of the past. I think if we take it from your understanding, if you think letting go of the past, I think it's an essential key for us. I think there's certain things that we hold on to from the past that we almost define the present opportunities to see the world in a new way based on the experiences of the past. And like that, I feel like it limits your growth to an extent, because now your perception is almost like wrapped around these past circumstances, or way of processing things, and I think letting go of the things of the past would now come to a place where it's like, I'm not saying forget every single principle that may have been good, I'm not saying like forget that which you feel like makes the better part of you, I mean, but what I'm saying, it's like those things that you almost have a fear of looking at the world in a different way, the things that hold you back, the things that almost before you even engage in this present opportunity to live life from a present point, you automatically sort of like stamp on it with a past experience judgment of it, and that's where I'm coming from now. Like it's like those things there, it's hard to let go, man. Like I would like to think like it's easier said than done, especially when it comes to the past, because we are a creature that goes on experiences, and the more experience you have of something, the stronger it gets, like on your memory or whatever. No, so to let go of that is it's more than just physical. What does that comment say?
So we've got my man Gary that says it means realizing all of the negatives in our lives could be, as you said, the experiences, especially the bad ones, and just letting go and moving forward. So I think kind of what it means is, we have those experiences that we maybe presume to be or see our perspective is that they're negative, and so they're kind of holding us back. And so letting go means we are, releasing ourselves from those experiences and moving forward.
I like this comment. You know what? This is a great segue, into my next thought on letting go, because now, in the last couple of days, right? Like I saw this one video, right? Like it just recommended to me on my YouTube, right? And it just said Black Rock City, right? I don't know if anybody knows what Black Rock City is. I don't know if you've ever heard of Black Rock City. But so I thought to myself, what? Okay, fine. And I looked at this video, right? Watching this video, man, like it blew my mind. Like apparently, excuse me, for a week, every year in the desert of Nevada, USA, there comes alive a city for a week of 70,000 odd people, right? They congregate together for a week, right, and almost create this city out of nowhere, right? These are like caravans, just mobile homes kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like you come, you camp, you set up. And this place has got a post office, it's got everything, like, it's almost set up as a little city, right, for a week. But basically, it's a city made from the event called the Burning Man, right? Burning Man is this event that happens where they burn this huge, like, wooden sort of like man statue, right, in the middle of the desert there. They burn this statue. right? And throughout the week, obviously, there's events, you know, and everything themed out to be about that Burning Man, event. Now, when I sort of like dug a little bit deeper, I went on their website now and kind of like was reading on the founder and like, you know, what it's about, like what's their why, you know, why do they do this every single year since mid 90s, you know. It started off with one person, you know, and then it caught on fire. More people wanted to join that burning thing, and now we've got 70,000 people, right? Now, the thing that I really caught on to with this little video, right, and I guess this event, that what really intrigued me was the essence of self-expression was like the most encouraged thing about the event. Express yourself as you want to be, because in this place we are not bound by the society's rules and regulations and things of, you know, that separates us in perception, you know. In this place you are able now to just be, right? And you find all sorts of creations, you know, to modifying their vehicles, you know, bicycles, you know, just self-expression through appearance and whatever, not what have you, like, yeah, it's a place of, you know, freedom of expression. But it's merely more than that. The Burning Man itself now, as the website was mentioning, it's almost like they are burning away these things of society, right? Which, you know, it's like as human beings, right? We find that we have all these things that keep us in a way of labeling ourselves, you know, putting ourselves in categories, putting ourselves in a way, I am more of these people or not these people, you know. We are a transactional society, you know. There is this thing where it's always about me, you know, it's always about taking care of myself, you know. And this mentality is almost like limiting. It's almost limiting to the capability that the human being can be with others in interacting together, right? And that's, if you watch the video, it will make more sense than me trying to explain this. Black Rock City, type it up on YouTube. But that essence of burning away the men and then, you know, going beyond the men, this is what that city represents now. Every time they come over for a week, they are living beyond the men, beyond what we are limited as men, as human beings, right? So in their little city, they've got their own sort of like, obviously what they would expect from you as a resident, like clean up after yourself, take your trash with you wherever you go, you know, all such and such. Like, you know, it's all about giving your art, your expression of self, like give it to others so that you may share, right, in this place. And another part, it's almost like if you want to travel anywhere, you don't need a vehicle. You just jump on somebody's car into the next part or whatever. No, if you're hungry, you just go over to a food stall and just wait for the food and they'll give it to you for free. Nothing. You don't use money in this place, right? Now, where am I going with this in terms of letting go, right? For a week long, they live in this sort of place, a utopia sort of place, right? And on the final night where they burn the Burning Man, right? The biggest statue, the one that they all came to see, you know, the final night. You know, when it's being burned, for these people, they see it as a new year for them, right? As a new year for them. So after this 1 week of self-expression and really exploration and just, you know, being right in this place of middle of nowhere, right? And having this huge thing happening at the end of the week, and which represents for everyone that essence of letting go of maybe things that may have been holding them back before this 1 week. I don't know what will be going through each and individual's mind, but it's the vision, it's the why, the event is there, which then gives everybody almost like a reason to be there for their own why, you know. And that essence that the Burning Man themselves, the creators, they're saying, it's about letting go of the man part of us, like, you know, just letting go and let the higher, it's almost like that we call universe, God, that higher power, enable it to just flow through you. Because as you create and share, and you're almost serving others, but because you are doing what you know you can, right? This is what you see on the video. If you are somebody who cooks, maybe, I don't know, you do food, right? You come in with your food and you are providing food, right? I'm pretty sure your own things of need will be provided by those that do things that are different from what you do, right? So there's not really much of a lack, right? As I say again, it's only for a week. But when we go back now to the idea of letting go, like when I was watching this video and I was seeing these people interacting in this place, like this place that it's really for a week, for those 168 hours, you're not in society as we know it. So the things that you may have held onto as an identification form of I am this because that my past like this, the amount of things that we may identify ourselves with, we may try and find identity in, and the feeling of this is it. Your life is set in this place. Like this is it. There's no other way of being anything. Like you have to hold on to whatever it is that you have. After a week of that experience of a place that's so free, it doesn't look at you to judge you. It's a place that is like if you wanna come there and literally sit by your place, like you can do whatever you want. It gives you it gives you a space to actually let go. It gives you a space to actually, break the connection with all those things that you may identify with. Does that make sense?
It does. And so with that in mind, because you asked me the question of like, what does letting go mean to me? So is that what letting go means to you, of like breaking free from society's labels of you, or society, or the self-identity, of like society's identity, like that it places on you, or how you see yourself, I suppose, as well, based on society's norms?
Yeah. If I was to now, and I'm answering that question for myself, like what does letting go mean to me now? As I was explaining that video now, like I was saying, individually, everybody has why they are there to let go of whatever it is they're burning in them being a man or a woman, whatever not, right? For me, what does it mean now? Like, it's not about breaking out into societies, things and doing whatever, like almost creating your own society. As good and nice as that sounds, like I've watched. I think there's an island. There's this one Italian movie. It's a side note. Anyway. There's an Italian movie of a guy who tried to make an island just outside the water, the the borders of the country, right, in the sea, right. And even him, they could not let him be, right. They couldn't because it got so much like people wanted to be part of that. They started doing attention, and it was destabilizing the way the world works. And a lot of leaders, they kind of they shied away from me, and ultimately they broke it down. And this is a true story as well, right? It happened in Italy, like back in the 60s or 70s or whatever, right? So going back to what does that mean to me, it's not necessarily about breaking out of society, because that's where you are. This is it. This is you may call it the matrix, whatever you want to call it, right? This is where you are. What does letting go mean to me? It means letting go of the version you had yesterday so you can live with this being that you have become today. Because yesterday you wanted to become something, right? Think about it yourself, right? If you say, okay, I want to become a boxer, right? What do? You take those little decisions every single day to go to the gym, to improve every single day, so that you can come up to that image of yourself walking into a ring one day. But let's minimize that focus of like a long-term goal. Like tomorrow, in a way, it's like, why are you taking on yesterday's things today? And then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. Because now you're not letting go. You're just sort of like dragging it through every single day, and you're not really allowing yourself to become new from each and every single day, because every single day you've got 24 hours of new opportunities of becoming something more than you are already. So when we talk about like, I've got, I can't let go, or it's hard to let go. Yes, it is hard to let go, because mentally we're always thinking about these things, and we store them into ourselves into an extent where it's almost like we don't understand. We don't see that sense that you are the programmer. Basically, you are the programmer. You're not just programmed. Do you know what I mean? You can be programmed if you want to be programmed, right? That's where
Well,
the matrix comes into play.
mm,
But in terms of letting go, it's almost like you as the programmer, if you are developing a system, are you gonna hold on to a component or a solution or something, a version, right? Imagine if
mm,
Windows 96 never updated to Windows 10 today. Who would still be using Windows 96? Does that make sense? So now, in your own being, why do you want to live your version of 18 years of age when you are now 28, 30, 50, whatever it is you may be? You want to stay updated, you want to stay relevant, right? But it's not about staying relevant to the world's norms and society's things that they want you to be. No, it's about staying relevant to being yourself, to being authentically self. Does that make sense? So now letting
100%.
go. So
100%, man. 100%.
now
That's sorry, like that's what I'm all about ultimately. I think the link between like what I was talking about in terms of letting go, I wrote it down, and for you as well, it's almost like anything that holds you back. It's like, because if you use the example of like software and that, but like if you're still on Windows 96 whatever, and now today is Windows 10 or whatever it is, that's going to hold you back from being the best version of yourself, but not even necessarily the best version of yourself, because that's probably a whole never different topic. My thing is just a better version of yourself.
yeah.
Like this mindset of every day better. I don't necessarily believe in perfect or even best. Like it's kind of like this thing within the personal development space of like be your best version of yourself, and I get it. But I think for me, it's just about being better. It's just about having that mindset of like 1% better every day. Over time, momentum kicks in, and you're going to
Overdrive.
So yeah, I mean, I completely understand and completely agree with what you're saying. And I love it that you mentioned that it's all about living this way in alignment with your own values, right? In alignment with your own beliefs, and not the expectations of pretty much, as we've been talking about, society, basically. So yeah, I think the link between kind of what we're talking about in terms of letting go, it's like anything that ultimately holds you back, whether that's internal limiting beliefs, whether that's society's kind of pressures or norms, or think kind of things you feel are kind of outside yourself, whether it's internal or external. I think it's anything that holds you back. So I would encourage people to like. That's why I love reflection. That's probably a completely different topic, but because like during that time when I reflect, and I've done reflection today, like every Monday, it's looking at it and it's going, what didn't work? What can I improve on? But kind of in that, what are the things that are holding me back, and how can I, as we were talking about, kind of let go of those or learn from those, like learn from them and let go from them to help move me forward. So I'm kind of repeating myself. I think like the link, I don't know if you would agree with this, it's kind of anything that ultimately holds you back. And once you're able to let go of that, then of course, like if something's holding you back, you're not moving forward. So as you're able to cut the ties of that stuff that's holding you back, freedom also comes to mind. Like you cut the tie of like anything that's holding you back, you can kind of go, you then got that freedom, to explore.
Definitely, man. Now let me bring it full circle now, yeah? So
Go ahead.
now we've identified what letting go is, right? In different forms, right? In, like you said yourself, like, there's that letting go of the past, there's that letting go of just, getting to not be the best version, but to be better, right? It's almost like to be optimized, to work in an efficient way, right? Like right now, Windows 10 is the best optimized, Windows right now. It's the best one that is efficient, right? There's no need. Why, as much as it's available, 2007, Windows 207 is available, there's no need for it because it's not optimized to give you the best of what you can be, right? Now, when we bring it full circle, like I said, now, like it's almost it always comes down to your journey, to your own personal journey. Now, why did I mention that Black Rock City? Yeah, and we're talking about this, about self-reflection and just letting go, I guess. Now, in that place, this video, as I was watching it, as I was thinking on it from an individual perspective, in such a place that's saying express yourself, you're free to be whatever you want to be, like we don't have any holds bar, like you don't need to wear Air Jordans or wear Nike or whatever. No, you can literally walk nude, and believe me, there are people who are working nude around 70 odd other thousand people, but because they wanted to, nobody cared, because that's this person expressing themselves, right? Now, being in such a place, you would have to ask yourself, why am I here? In order for you to be able to express yourself in an authentic way. Does that make sense? Because you cannot copy anyone else. Everybody is on their own vibe. You know what I mean? You don't know what somebody has been preparing for the last 360 odd days for this 1 week. So you cannot say, I'm going to wear and such and such. Do you know what I mean? Now, I've recently updated the General Assembly. Now I'm coming back. Man, I'm excited. And there's something that there's a theme that I'm going for in the next 3 years with this one. And one thing is, I came up with this C, triple E, C. It's self-examination, exploration, and expression, right? How does that tie in with letting go, right? We were talking here about updating your system, not staying in Windows 96, right? Being the best, not best, but optimized version of yourself, right? Letting go of the past, because what it's holding you back and you're not going so far. The sooner you cut something off, you are loose and light and you can move further and further, right? C, self-examination, exploration, and expression, right? Now, when you follow that order, when you see yourself, when you see your own soul, right? You are examining yourself each and every single day. It's like what you said, you do reflections on a Monday. I would say you see yourself every single Monday, because now, so on a Monday, you're examining yourself. You're examining and saying, okay.
So I actually do it. So for me, I do like daily reflections, but they're kind of quick, like to the point type of thing, So like morning, review my goals for the day, and yeah, so it's more like a journaling exercise. And then in the evening, I do a quick reflection on the day, like how did today go? Ask myself kind of powerful questions like that. On a weekly basis, then that's when I kind of go deeper, right? And then, like you're saying, kind of see myself on that deeper level. Then I also do monthly reflections where I kind of look over the month. And so I kind of have the kind of, in terms of my reflective practice, I kind of have like this stacked system, I guess, from reflecting on my entire 12 months to right down to like each day, because I just feel reflection in general is just so important, because it increases our level of self-awareness and everything. But yeah, like that's ultimately my reflective practice. To be able to like, one, connect with my inner self, two, just process things, develop more self-awareness, and the list is kind of endless, but I will let you continue, man. I interrupted you.
Nah, go for it, man. Like, and you're saying everything I would say it anyway. Because like what you're saying there, it's like reflection, right? That's your form of seeing yourself. That's what I'm saying now. Seeing. It's not, there's no practices to these things that I'm saying now. It's basically just the intangible seeing of self. Because look at yourself, right? When you are reflecting, right? When you are introspectively reflecting, that's an examination of self. You're looking at yourself and examining yourself, right? And after you examine yourself, you're almost exploring what you have examined now, right? Because now you're looking at yourself, okay, how do I move forward? How do I go about this? What do I do? Do you know what I mean? You're exploring what you have examined. Self-examined has now turned into self-exploration, right? And as you have explored, you come to a place where it's like, I want to express this exploration. And hence we come to the third now. That's where it's almost now you're expressing that, right? So you find like you've got 12 months, right? I'll take you, for example, like you've got 12 months, you reflect on, you've got a month, you reflect on, you've got a week, you've got a day, do you know what I mean? And through it all, these are different points of seeing yourself. Because as you are looking at your time, as you're looking at yourself, you're examining your time, what you want to do, what you want to achieve, whatever it is. You're then exploring your options and what you can do, or to do what you need to do to become that which you want to be. And then you go out to express that very same examination you had of self, to see if you can become that which you want to become. Do you know what I mean? So full circle, it's almost like seeing triple E. That constant reflection you do, like I said, it's a 1%, but through that 1% of self-reflection, even at the end of the day, as you're reflecting, you let go of certain things that you may not have liked that day, right? Just as you will change something on a Monday when you look back on the last week that you didn't go well. That's version, that's from 96 to Windows 10, because you can't then do the same practices you did today as you're trying to move forward towards what you already see with yourself. So you see yourself on all these different scales, and as you are going forward towards your own journey, that I come back now to that journey point you said, it's about your own personal journey. It's a unique journey that you're walking on, and it's not about comparisons and seeing what others are like or what they're doing or whatever. Not, like, now, to round off my final thoughts, it's almost like in that order, like I was explaining, this city that comes alive every year. It's not about us trying to renounce and literally like walk out of this society and move into a new one. No, it's almost like you become your own new society. It's like you become the version you want to see. As much as the world may be as it is, the more you look inside yourself and see what you want to become, you can find your way on how to do that in this very world. Does that make sense? You don't have to wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden, okay, everything is opposite or whatever. No, it's just about looking at yourself, your own system. My window, okay, today I'm Windows 97. Okay, I need to up it a bit. I need to go up to Windows 98. Maybe I'll feel better, whatever. Okay, what do I have to do? Where do I have to go? You know what I mean? Now you're exploring your options. And as you express yourself, when you are found more with yourself, like you say, if you become an artist or you find that you are good at photography or you are good at singing, whatever not, you become expressive of that talent, because you first examined something about yourself, explored that probably on your own, and then you thought, I'm now confident enough to express it. But it's always been about you. Why? They go back to why now, right? Why? why do you have to let go? Because that's the question we always have to ask ourselves before we truly take that leap of faith into something new. Why? It always begins with a why. You know what I mean? And that's how you can let go. Begin with a why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing?
Why do I do what I do?
Yeah.
So
Why are you doing?
So for me, it comes back to my overall kind of like life mission of wanting to raise human consciousness and help people to become a better version of themselves. So like that is literally like, so talking about this, if I feel I have a limiting belief that I need to let go of to move forward, it's like that. Why, right? Like, well, why do I need to let go of this? I have this bigger purpose, I have this bigger mission. And I'm not going to get anywhere near accomplishing that if I don't let go of this limiting belief that's holding me back. So that's ultimately my mission, my why, my purpose that drives me forward. And it shows, and because it's kind of that overriding thing, it shows up in business for me, but also in my personal life. I think sometimes, and some people might not kind of be able to grasp this idea of how, like, having a why or a mission or so that thing they're working towards that's completely bigger than themselves. And you don't have to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to be in business or into things that we are to have to kind of dedicate your life to a why, or just kind of find that why within you. Because ultimately, as I said, my why shows up in my personal life all the time. It's like, okay, how can I support family members to become a better version of themselves? Friends, like, how can I support them to become a better version of themselves? And then again, if there's anything that holds me back from doing that, as we're talking about, I need to let go of that to be able to fulfill that mission, to be able to fulfill that overall purpose. There was something else I wanted to share before you asked me about my why, but I think I've lost it. I think it's gone.
Oh, sorry, man.
It's a very powerful question you answered there. And for me, it took some time to work out what that why is. That why that kind of links everything together. And so I would encourage people just to start that journey. That's why I'm so passionate ultimately about like personal growth, personal development, because once you just start your own personal development journey, personal growth journey, you're going to find it, like, or not even necessarily find it, like just discover it, because you start to discover yourself more. That overriding why, mission, purpose, whatever you want to call it, is within all of us, and sometimes I've shared this before, I think we shared it a couple of episodes ago when we were talking about passion. Sometimes you discover it through things that piss you off, or sometimes, and because you want to change it, you want to change it and have that impact. Or sometimes you discover it through just doing stuff and realizing, actually, I'm passionate about this, and kind of discovering it that way. So, but the underlying thing of just starting that journey. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on why ultimately. Yeah.
So, do you see how yourself, like what you've just described, said self, right? You've come to an identification of your why every single day, like in your life, in your business, in everything that you are. You see that why, and hence why whenever you do anything you're doing, you can see yourself examining yourself whether how true you are to your why, exploring options to come back to your why, and then expressing what you have created to show the world, to show everyone your why, or whatever it is that you do to express your actions. Let me say your actions. Those are your expressions. Do you know what I mean? So the self, we all have a self. That's the thing I'm trying to get at here. That we need to let go of society's almost like Argos catalog of categories and labels we can be and become, right? We need to
of
hold
course.
on to self first. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm
And
saying.
then, examine self so we can find that why. Because then through that examination, it leads you to want to explore more of self. Like you're saying, the more you find of self, the more you started doing of what yourself is. I mean,
There's a great book for this.
I
Go
think,
on.
I think your story is very inspirational. Like every time, I don't know why I always go back to your story, but it makes sense every time we talk about a subject, because you think about when you said you were around people that you thought to yourself, they're not really facilitating the best version of self. Your best Windows version was not nowhere. You felt like you were repeating, you were living with this version for too long. And then you examined yourself. You sat back and you examined self. Let's remember that. Self was identifying with these labels and whatever not. And self was like, nah, I see this, but let me look at this again. You examined and then you explored. Through your explorations, now look at the amount of people you helped with. And that's what I'm saying. It's like that self, we need to let go of society's you cannot stop living in society,
Yeah.
but you can start living your life in society. Does that make sense?
Because and that's definitely bring this, for me anyway, back full circle. Because if people don't do this, then it's going to hold them back. And for me, like that's again the link. Yeah, if people do not do this, it's going to hold them back. And then my whole thing is, and then like I don't want to get to 90 and be kind of, let's just imagine right now I'm in my rocking chair, just like, an older version of me. I'll probably still look super young or whatever. I don't want to kind of be there and have this, this whole list of kind of, well, I wish I'd have done this and I wish I'd done this, because I've lived 90 years of my life based on society's kind of made up rules, and there's such a great book on this, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. It's by an author called Vishen Lakhiani. He's the founder of Mind Valley. I read it November time last year, and he talks about he calls society the culture escape, and then he talks about the rules. They're called brawls, basically bullshit rules. That's not to say that. And so a bullshit rule in society isn't something like, so somebody might. So let's be clear on this. A society rule on don't necessarily hurt others, like physically or whatever it is. Like that's a rule that kind of, there's punishment obviously with that. That's kind of not what we're talking about here. When we're talking about bullshit rules or society's rules, it's like you come from I mean, you've said it before, Leroy, kind of with your kind of cultural background, right? That for people in your culture, it's kind of like this path, isn't there? But in society, that's in the book, and kind of what I feel we're talking about the same thing here. That's a bullshit rule, because of course you can break out of that, and let's just say if you wanted to become, I don't know, exactly, you can go and do that. It's society and the pressures from our friends, our family, whoever it is, that stops us from doing that.
Sorry, yeah, go on. Sorry, yeah, go on.
No, so I was basically going to finish, but that stops us from doing that. And so if we're able to, again, let go of that, because a question I was going to pose was, well, then why don't people let go? What's stopping people from letting go? What's stopping people from letting go from, let's just say, these society rules or from something on their past? And for me, I was kind of thinking, it's often it's like that emotional attachment to it. In some way it comes back to our emotions and how we want to feel. Of like, even if it's fear, if it's like it's fear based, like they hold on to that past, that past memory, whatever it is, because if they don't, because they feel for like of what happens if they don't, or if it's a society rule, and if they break that, then I don't know, their parents may never speak to them again, or they may not speak to them for a month, and obviously that's going to cause some sort of pain, right? Some sort of discomfort. So it then comes back to our emotions and how we feel, and if we can understand more of I suppose on an emotional level, like more about our emotions, and we can become maybe more emotionally intelligent, maybe that comes into it, then we're able to, I guess, raise more self-awareness and then start to move forward, I guess.
Definitely. I think that point on emotional intelligence is a whole topic of it.
It is. Definitely, man. Do you have any final words or final thoughts? I know you have to go in a bit.
Yeah, I think you said it all, man. I mean, like you said, like, society has, like, that question you posed, like, why is it so hard? Like, I think, like you mentioned there, if somebody like me back in my own country, who's never set foot on a plane or on a bus to the next city, will probably believe and take on these beliefs that they have been told to be life, right? But like you said, if they had the option of being a monk, or if they saw the option of being a monk, maybe their mind would be like, I want to update myself to be that version of being. Now let's go back to being. I think that's one thing I'm trying to, this is my why. Let me just share. My why, like, is to inspire harmony in being. That's my why, like, of why I do anything I do, why I create what I create. I want to inspire harmony in being. Like, I feel like there's so much, like, just turmoil and like tornadoes in a lot of people, and we're just all like keeping it quiet and shut up, and sometimes it explodes and people are surprised, but it's all written, it's all in front of us. But because we are trying to hold true to an image of self that we have chosen from an Argos catalog, it makes it hard for us to actually, express self and let go of those things and actually see self alive, because that's where we become alive,
And so just on that point, Leroy, right? So people are going to think I'm really weird right now. And if you're listening on the podcast, watch the video. So I'm holding up some Post-it notes, right? And so what I kind of see it is, in like what we're talking about here, is that when we kind of get brought up, or when we grow up, we kind of, let's just see, like, these Post-it notes are our reality, I guess. The kind of the societies that we live in, our communities that we live in, the beliefs, the values, the principles, etc., of what we get told to believe, and so we get shown them, right? But we can't. But because they're so close to our face, we can't see all the other options, right? All the other kind of perspectives in the world, because we're getting. So I want to say forced, but sometimes these values, beliefs, etc., are designed to keep us safe, But when we get to 16, 17, 18, for me, it's time to start to question that, because now we're stepping into our own selves, right? Our, more responsibility, etc. So we can actually start to question what's behind this, and go out there into the world and see more of a perspective, so we can break this down. I mean, some of these beliefs, some of these rules, some of these values may still serve us somewhere in our lives, but we can kind of take them and now put them into our pocket, and use them from time to time. But I think what happens is we don't even question it. We're just like, okay, then we just accept this. Like, this is life, And for me, as I'm growing and as I'm developing in that, I want to go break him down, Leroy. Like seriously, like because do they actually? I just said some of them might serve us and some of them might do, but I feel a lot of them again are designed to keep us safe, right? And are designed for us not to dream, and designed for us not to really step into becoming that better version of a better version of ourselves. So for me, we have to have that courage to be able to question these rules, these values that we kind of get brought up with are so in our faces. Because I think if we don't, we're then going to be left with more questions than answers in our lives. But even with that, because they're so pushed into our faces, we don't even bother to ask a question, And I think that art of starting to just start to question things of like, well, why do we do it this way? And, like, I'm not sure about that. That starts to build our own identity of self. So it comes back to your point on self. Do you have any final words or final comments on that?
Yeah, I think you said it there, man. Like I think we have that those beliefs, the ones in front of our faces are the ones that we are almost like, look at this, look at this, look at this. And as soon as you try and look at this, they're like, no, look at this, and
Different
just
perspective.
forced to look at it from this one perspective, because any other side you become lost. And I think that's where it's another whole topic, because we if you really
100%.
come to look at it, like from the time you're born until you're 18 to 21, you're basically on a trial period. Have you been on an app and it says you're on a trial? Yeah, that's our life. You're on a trial period. But when it comes to that point, like you said, where you start questioning these beliefs, the ones that in front of you, that's when you're trying to access that, the full version of this application, right? And if somebody is telling you, no, 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 all you need are the set or the things that you learned on the trial version, clearly there's more to this than this. Does that make sense? There's more to this than this, because you have to realize through your own mental like reasoning, judgment, and examination, right? Why is it that today's people cannot make sense of things that were made long time ago? If anything, we should make more sense of those things and update them for today. But then we are held on to that herd mentality, and like there's a lot of factors in play. Age, or I'm your parent, or I'm your elders. We know better. Society has lived like this, X, Y, Z. There's quite a lot. But like I said, I think if we let go of quite a lot of identifying categories and labels and beliefs that we are held on to based on almost guilty conscience, because you feel like you'll be lost, or you'll be alone, and you'll be deserted, and you'll be outcast, you'll be ostracized. It's emotional blackmail, and it's not allowing the being to fully access the power of that higher power of actually. If you think about it, technology today is way quicker than it was 100 years ago. 100 years ago, I mean 1920 ago.
10 years ago.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So if you are living based on principles or set of rules that were created in 1920, you're not living in 2020. You are living in 1920, but the version of 2020 of 1920, right?
So this is a perfect example of like the education system. I'm going so off track right now, but like the current education system, for example, the current education system was designed, created, whatever, and like I don't actually know the exact date, so I don't want to but it's like 1940s, 1950s, etc. Yet we still do lectures. We still have classrooms with the teacher kind of at the front, and kind of still like teaching in that way. And so like that was created like all those years ago. So it kind of you just kind of mentioning that.
When you touch on the education subject, it's a delicate one, that one, because education is a big part of your trial years, right? Of your trial years, of your 18 years of life. It's a big part of that. And if you, I mean, what? That's it, man. That's it. You've said it. Like, the education system alone needs to let go, because we are still being taught almost not. Yes, the education may be updated to this today's society, but like you said, the structure and the core purpose of the system of education has not left the building. Let me say.
Right. Absolutely, man.
It's
Absolutely.
still there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that case of, like, if we are being taught for a society that's structured for people back then, that means we're just an updated version of that same system. Do you know what I'm saying? If that makes sense, anyway. But
It does.
yeah,
It
like I
does.
said, it's a topic for another day. But letting go, we need to let go to feel free, lighter in being, so that we can actually move forward and take on that which we want for our lives, which is better than whatever it is that we may feel like we need to keep holding on and bear on our back. So that's why you
Absolutely.
should let go, man. That's what it means to feel lighter. That's what it means to me. Feel lighter in life.
Awesome. Well, an epic episode. I know you have to run. So I will let you do just that. But Leroy, thank you so much. Great topic you brought today. And yeah, guys, any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section, or if you're listening on the podcast, you can send them to us. You can find me on Instagram and across social media. My handle is @RealLukeBurrows. Leroy, where can people find you? Just real quick.
You can find me on Instagram as well at Atlas Lee Speaking. That's Atlas Lee Speaking, one word.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where you can find me there. Yeah, man.
Cool. What I'll do is I'll put all the links, if you're listening on the podcast, in the description. And if you're watching on YouTube, then check below this video so you can also get those links. Just real quick, we've got Viva here, who's actually one of our community managers at Grow Together, which is awesome, who says, letting go means valuing your mental health, not dwelling on the past, moving forward with the lessons you've learned, making you a better person because of your experiences that you've survived. Amazing. I love that. Great way to finish the show. So all that's left for me to say is, guys, we will be back next week. If there's a topic you want us to talk about, discuss, then again, share that with us. And we've got some guests coming up soon, which will be awesome. Have a great week, guys. We will see you next time.
Take care and have a blessed one.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Unorthodox Perspectives.
If you liked today's episode on the show, please subscribe and leave a comment below.
All relevant links for today's episode of the podcast can be found in the description, so please check them out.
And we will be back next week with another episode. Until then, have an awesome week.